test.
There we go.
Okay, old school. This is great. This is amazing. What an entrance. Thank you for the enthusiasm. I try. So as I was mentioning, we're obviously here to talk about beauty tech, not microphone tech, but beauty tech, with these wonderful gentlemen. First of all, I'm Megan McDowell with Women's Wear Daily, so I cover technology and fashion and beauty based in San Francisco for Women's Wear Daily. And so we have our wonderful panelists here today from PCH and L'Oreal. Sitting right beside me, we have Guy Belush, who I know you guys already met briefly. He is a scientist who is dedicated to bringing cutting-edge technology to the beauty industry. As the global vice president of L'Oreal's technology incubator, based in Clark, New Jersey, Guy has helped L'Oreal evolve from a legacy beauty company to a true tech player that's shaking up the industry by bringing digital beauty experiences to consumers everywhere. In this role, Guy oversees L'Oreal's technology incubator and its sister lab, the San Francisco-based California Research Center. Designed as a startup within a large organization, Guy's dynamic team partners with entrepreneurs, academic institutions, and experts across a diverse array of fields to unearth breakthrough research and first-to-market technologies. As a part of his team's work in the lab, Guy led the development of the world's first virtual makeup tester, Makeup Genius, pretty amazing, which has already reached more than 14 million downloads. And he plays an integral role in L'Oreal's exploration of flexible electronics, and we'll hear a little bit more about what that means. Guy brings his passion for augmented reality, connected objects, customized beauty, 3D printing, and bioprinting to his role, and is devoted to uncovering disruptive innovations that will empower beauty consumers worldwide. So welcome.
Thank you very much.
Great to have you.
I'm very impressed you were able to read that. You guys don't see that, but it's very small writing.
Well,
it's like amazing.
Yeah, thank you. I try. And sitting beside you, we have Andre Yousefi, who is co-founder of Lime Lab, acquired in 2012 by the custom product design company PCH. Today, PCH Lime Lab is the product design and engineering division of PCH and is headquartered at the PCH Innovation Hub in San Francisco, with additional design for manufacturing capabilities in Shenzhen, China. Employing over 100 mechanical and electrical engineers and product managers, PCH Lime Lab works with the world's most innovative brands, from startups to Fortune 500 companies. With a strong expertise in product design, engineering, and development, PCH Lime Lab guides companies large and small through all phases of product creation, from opportunity to concept to design, engineering, and development, to packaging, manufacturing, and the customer out-of-box experience. So welcome. We're happy to have you.
Thank you very much, Megan. Appreciate it.
And as you guys know, we're going to talk about primarily the partnership between L'Oreal and PCH. So let me explain a little bit about that. In January, they announced a global strategic relationship with global beauty leader L'Oreal. We're all familiar with L'Oreal, to develop personalized beauty products and connected devices. And one of the most exciting launches that we saw came out at CES. The first product to go to market under this relationship. It's called My UV Patch. And you guys will see the blue patch on Guy's hand here. It was unveiled at CES, and My UV Patch will be marketed under L'Oreal's La Roche-Posay skincare brand, and it's the first ever stretchable skin sensor available to consumers. So what does that mean? Tell us a little bit about the patch.
Sure, yeah. So we developed the patch we started about 18 months ago to think about how can we bring beauty and technology together? How can we find a way to have a wearable device that would empower the beauty consumer? And so my job, essentially, I run an incubator for the company, and our job is to kind of partner with startups and different kind of entrepreneurial people around the world working on tech and find a way to bring it to the beauty industry. So when we were looking at wearables, our first thought was we don't want to develop just another wearable, because part of the reason is that we know that there are kind of so many wearables right now that are doing measuring different things, and there's kind of a let's say barrier to entry where people have to spend a significant amount of money for their wearable. So we wanted to work on an innovative technology that you could apply anywhere on your body, and you could get some information about something related to the cosmetic kind of consumer's need. So our first step was, let's find an innovative company working on wearables. So we partnered up with a company out in Boston called MC10, and their job is to take wearables and to make them super thin. So take sensors, make them super thin, and you can stretch them, bend them, twist them, and do things that you can, normally not do with a rigid electronic.
And when you say wearables, are we, like, does that mean sensors, wires? What do you mean,
Yeah.
these things that are bending and stretching?
So sensors, essentially, right? So if the idea is like when you look at a piece of wood and a tissue paper, they're essentially the same composition, but if you can make it really thin, you can crumple the tissue paper. And the same thing applies for electronics. So if you can make an electronic really, really thin, you can start to stretch it, you can bend it, you can put it on your body like a second skin or like a tattoo. So, but obviously that brings a lot of challenges in terms of making it. And that's where we partnered up with PCH to find a way to take this kind of innovative technology and being able to actually bring it to market.
So what is the blue patch on your hand?
Okay, so I'll tell you how it works. So basically the first thought we had was, what should we measure? Because the beauty consumer today, there are lots of needs in terms of their aging processes and kind of their wrinkles and pores and everything. But the core the core need was around UV. Because when you think about it, the aging process is very much affected by UV exposure. So if you
Isn't that the #1 cause of aging other than time?
That is true, yes. She knows that, so it is correct. It is the number, and that's why you probably haven't been in the sun a lot and you're using your SPF.
Absolutely.
There you go. Me too. I'm actually 95 years old, so I don't know why people are laughing. It's true. I'm kidding. No, so the idea was we knew that there's a need for consumers to understand how much UV exposure they're getting, and we wanted to give that as an education tool. So the heart itself, you have inside this little patch. It's like a second skin, so you can wrinkle it, you can stretch it, you can wear it for up to 5 days, shower. So I have showered the past 5 days. I've been wearing it for 5 days. And as you're exposed to UV, you scan. If you have an Android NFC, you can scan, you can just tap it, and then it will tell you how much UV exposure you've had. Or you take a photo with an iPhone, and it will let you know the amount of exposure you've had during the day. And this way, it helps you understand when to, what products to use, how to live a healthier lifestyle, and it's, it's disposable, so it's really easy to adopt it, and you can put it anywhere on your body.
And what are the little white squares? So if you guys can't see it, it's a blue heart with it looks like pixelated little white, blue squares.
So, okay, so basically what you have here is you have 16 different squares in the heart. And so when you take the photo of the heart, you need some of the squares to be a specific color so that if you're in a different lighting, it can calibrate for the lighting. And then some of the squares here are actually changing over time. So the more exposure I get, one of the squares will change a little faster in color. It will go from dark blue to white. Another one will go a little slower, so you can wear it over 5 days. Mm-hmm. And we've decoded an algorithm behind it. So we have, when you take the photo, it will take a look at the heart and how it's changed color, and it will let you know how much UV exposure you've had.
And so, I mean, I can't imagine you're a beauty company, you want to do something that's tech. Why was this where you guys decided to go with this? Why was this the first introduction?
Well, I mean, I think that it's interesting because I'm inside research and development. I'm inside research and innovation for L'Oreal. And I think we strategically did that because we have over 30 brands in our portfolio. And what we wanted to do with technology is make sure that we created platforms and things that we felt were based on real consumer needs that could go to multi-brands later and to choose, the right kind of tech before we think only about marketing and sales. Mm-hmm. So for us, our thought was we knew that there was a real need for change in behavior in UV, and we felt that this is the right kind of place to start. And the fact that it's you can apply product on top of it, and it can let you know how protected you are, that's something that you can't do with a normal wearable device. So we also had this added value to the consumer. So, and we designed it to be playful and to have a positive reinforcement to the consumer. Mm-hmm. We have other designs coming, although I don't mind wearing the heart, but I'm just saying that we have other designs coming as well, so yeah.
So it's kind of eye-catching, so it's almost like the consumer is advertising to other people, asking them to ask, oh, what is that? How do I get one?
Yeah, I get that all the time. Like in the flight here, the flight attendant was like, what is that? So
how do I get one?
Well, I have one here. Personally,
Oh,
do you mean,
thank
or
you.
everyone? No, I'm kidding. So we're launching it in May. So it's going to
Great.
launch between May and June in the summer season. We have about close to 1 million of them at the first launch, and we're not charging for the consumer. So the service will be free. And you can get it. So we partnered up with La Roche-Posay, which is a brand that's very dermatology driven and has really good innovative products for sun care. And PCH is the one that's done a phenomenal job to bring it to market and manufacture it. So we're going to give these away to consumers and have them kind of use it and hopefully buy the right products and continue to use our sun care products.
That's interesting. Would you ever do one that kind of blends into the skin more? Or are you thinking to do like something eye-catching that is obvious that you're wearing it?
Yeah, I think it's just the beginning. It's our first time into it, and it's funny because it's a pretty and I say this as humbly as I can, but it's a pretty innovative consumer electronic by itself. So just kind of making it happen was the first step, which was really complex. And we're a beauty company, so for us to be at the front of this is a kind of a interesting story.
It's really interesting.
And so now that we've done that, we're going to work with PCH and figure out new designs, new ways to kind of to make them smaller and to make them more integrated in the body even. And I think it's just the beginning of where wearables will go in the future.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think to build on that, it is the beginning of a partnership, and I think the fact that we were able to work very, very closely together for the last 12 months specifically. And we've launched this at CES. We got a huge amount of uptake. MC10 has been established for many, many years. So the science and the technology stack was residing in Boston at MC10, and then we were brought in to help scale through prototyping predominantly. So I think the relationship that Guy and I started was by accident. We weren't.
Well, how did
looking
you
for
meet?
each
Tell me
other.
the story about your
Well,
meet cute.
we were fortunate enough that L'Oreal was in the Bay Area visiting on a kind of a Bay Area Silicon Valley tour with a bunch of executives from the organization. So meeting Facebook and Google and such like. And we were fortunate enough that a good friend was good friends with Rachel Weisz and had said, you should stop by PCH. They're a really interesting company. And we have built this technology center in San Francisco in Potrero Hill. So Guy was part of that contingency coming through. And we have a very sophisticated prototyping facility on our second floor of our building. So he came and saw that, and his eyes popped out of his head.
I fell in love.
I know I've been trying to
3D
score an invite
printers
ever since I've heard about you guys.
Yeah, it's incredible building.
And again, it's nothing.
Well, tell me about what you do. Like, tell me about some other products that you work on, or an example of something that we might have seen that you had a part in.
Well, again, we're only 4 years young.
Okay.
Lime Lab, PCH Lime Lab has been part of PCH for 4 years. My co-founder and I started Lime Lab 6.5 years ago. But prior to that, I was at IDEO for about 18 years. Kurt Dammerman was my co-founder. He and I met. He was a graduate out of Stanford University, mechanical. And we were working with David Kelly and such like the early days in 93, 94. And that's where hardware was a huge part of Silicon Valley. You know, Apple was manufacturing products over the hill in Fremont and Pleasanton. There's a huge emphasis of local manufacturing. So with IDEO, we had a prototyping facility, which then was state of the art. And when we had the partnership with PCH, we had the opportunity to rebuild a prototyping facility that met today's needs. So we have electrical engineering lab, we have RF chambers, development, and Guy saw this, and we had very high precision equipment. And so it's all good and well. We can make a prototype very quickly these days with the likes of 3D printing and open source and such like. But to make 1 million is easy, making 1 is easy, but making 1,000 is actually quite challenging.
And why is that?
It's to do with the amount of engineering resources you need to get through due diligence. Technical stack, product requirement needs, material science, tolerance analysis, reliability testing. So you have to do around 95% of all the engineering needed to make the first 1,000. And scaling up is really, by that point, you've already created and identified your supply base. And that's where Guy and I kind of struck it off, that we had the horsepower within our organization to bring engineering, huge emphasis on design, respecting design, because predominantly everybody knows what good design is. When was the last time you wanted to do crappy design? And when was the last time you wanted to buy something that was crappy? So again, design is led by very strong industrial iconic studios like Fuse Projects, IDEO, Frog Design, Ammunition Group, and these are all our partners. And Guy has been working with them.
Do you work with other beauty brands at all, or?
No, not yet.
Interesting.
But we have a very exclusive relationship. I would say
That's not yet.
He'd stab me in the neck.
Never. All of this has been signed away before he came on the stage. I wasn't going to come up here with that. No.
So we hear a lot about...
Nice question there, though, by the way.
Hey, it's on my sheet. So we hear a lot about fashion tech and wearables, but beauty tech, there's so many different ways to interpret that. And how does a company like L'Oreal approach the concept of technological innovations in beauty? And is it all about personalized beauty like this, or where's it going?
Well, I think the future of beauty is around a couple of areas. The first, I really believe in customization, because I think that today when you look at the beauty industry, I mean, a perfect example of that is when you look at our app, Makeup Genius, that you were talking about. That was born because one day, it's really true, I was at a Walgreens, or Dwayne Reed, sorry, in New York, and I saw this woman that had her knee on the floor kind of looking through all these lipsticks trying to pick the right color. And I realized two things. The first is that we need better ways for people to try on mass products, because there's just so many. I mean, when you look at the beauty industry, it's just thousands of lipsticks and colors, and that makes a challenge when it comes to consumers trying to figure out what to pick. So there's kind of this one area where technology can help in virtual reality and augmented reality to figure out what's the best lipstick for me. Can I try it on really quick in a realistic way, and then I buy the right product? That's the first challenge. I think the second challenge where technology will meet beauty is getting the perfect product for me. So for women, 50% of women don't get the right shade of foundation. And part of the reason is that there's just so many skin tones. And when you go on the market, due to kind of the supply chain, you see 4 or 5 different colors, or 10, or at best 20. And so the idea is, how can we create a kind of technological advancement in the supply chain to allow people to just take a picture of their skin tone and get the perfect product? And these are things where I think technology and beauty will come together. It's not that beauty will become a tech company, tech in the tech industry. I think it's just a way to use technology to provide more customization, better ways to apply products, like in the patch, to educate, to give people the right understanding of when to use the products. And I think that this is where the future will lie, between where beauty and technology kind of meet together.
So can you, for people who aren't familiar, I know I tested it a little bit at CES, Makeup Genius. I got to do some really cool things, but tell me a little bit about how that works.
Yeah, so it's when I started my team about 3 years ago, and I told this story about how I saw the woman with her knee. The first thing I thought to myself is, I want to check out what people are doing in virtual reality for makeup. So I went on the App Store and I just downloaded all of them. And the first one that most of them, actually all of them at that stage, were you take a photo and then you say, where's your eyelashes, where your eyebrows, where's your eyes, and it takes 20 minutes. And then finally it just puts the makeup on your photo.
And the photo's terrible, by the way, because you have to take a selfie, right?
Exactly,
usually.
Yes. So people don't like how they look inside.
Yeah.
I mean, I look amazing in selfies, but people
Obviously.
don't like normally how they look. The lighting
One
has to
doesn't
change.
look good,
You have
not
to
you.
do it in the
One
right-
doesn't look good.
Yeah, exactly. So you have to take 20 of them, and this whole process takes an hour. And so I think that, that just makes people feel it's a gimmick. And it's and when I thought about that, and I thought about what the animation industry is doing, I just said, there's got to be something there we can do better. Of course, we failed 17 times before we got to Makeup Genius. But we tried different things. We tried to do it ourselves. We went to some players that were kind of doing their own thing. And then we met this really small startup that was working on Benjamin Button. And we just saw this amazing tech that they had, and we just started to think about with them, how can we make a real-time virtual makeup tester on the iPhone?
And it's sort of like special effects. I mean, when you look at it, your face moves, and I mean, it's augmented reality. Is that the right word to use
Yeah,
for it?
it is the right word. Yeah.
Excellent.
You did it. Yes, you were
Ooh,
right.
I'm learning
Yes.
something after all these years. And so you like pick the makeup color, and you can move your face, and it automatically detects where all those placement
Yeah.
points are in your face, and it's like you're wearing the makeup.
Yeah, the consumer doesn't really realize, like, and that's the beauty of it, like, it should be that way. They don't realize, like, the tech behind, but the front-facing camera of your iPhone, especially when we launched this in 2014, the camera's very low resolution. So, like, if you're trying to do a real, and you know it's for selfies and kind of FaceTime, it's pixelated. So if you want to be able to put a real-time makeup on your face and smile and not have it go on your teeth. There's like a lot of innovation that has to happen in the kind of way you're tracking the face without it being too computational that it's not able to be done on your phone. So there was a lot of work that went into making sure it was realistic.
And how long did you spend developing it?
Well, the company that we worked with in California spent about 10 years on their tech, but after that we spent on my team 12 months taking over 100,000 images just to make sure that the color that you see is what you get when you buy the product. Because that's the most difficult part.
Tricky.
Yeah. So we had to test it on like very light skin tone all the way to very dark skin tone and different ethnic groups and in different lighting. So yeah, and then we launched it at Cannes Film Festival in 2014, and now we have I think almost 17 million downloads. So it's been a good.
Everyone's
ride.
downloading it right now. I can.
Yeah, I can. I mean, everyone's downloading, right? Okay. Or they all have it. They're just trying
that's
it. Okay. It's called Makeup Genius. It's on the Android too.
And tell me a little bit about how you guys worked together to develop my UV patch and how long that took and how you picked the color and the shape. Like, what's the process like?
To be honest with you, we spent 5 months to
that's
get.
not long.
It's very fast. I mean, in the kind of typical cycle of doing turnkey product development, that's remarkably fast. And what are the reasons of that? I mean, Guy was working with some other bigger suppliers, big contract manufacturers, and what PCH brings to the solution is a very agile, very boutique, very custom engagement, where, and we've been thriving in that space for quite some time, and reputationally we've been building our brand through that. So what happened was that a big contract manufacturer doesn't, they think about deal flow. They need the machine to run for many months, many weeks, many years. And for this program, building a patch and making 1 million patches, you turn the machine on for 4 days and 1 million patches are made. But it takes, as I was saying, many tens of engineers to do the theoretical stack up to what it means to do the final assembly of this. It's 50 microns thick, it's 7 layers, it has a NFC coil, it has a microchip. The ink process alone is high-speed silk screen printing, but it's on a kind of production printing process. And again, there are 16 different quadrants outside of the heart. So when you think about that, that's 17 different plates that need to align onto just for the screen print. And on top of that, there are 5 other layers. So when you have roll-to-roll assembly coming together, all these things come together into one machine. So what we brought to the solution was a custom machine, whereas typically a big CM, that you would need to plug into an existing machine, and that existing machine wasn't available.
Right.
And that's how Guy and I
So you had to build completely new machines to be able to even.
Well, we worked with a local supply base that had machines that we could modify, but we still had to bring them to a final location that final lamination was applied, and then subsequently the die cut that creates the final round disc.
Andre says it very nice. Basically, the way it went down was that I went to Andre and I said, because this is a L'Oreal kind of way. I said, no, you got 5 months. We're going to get this done in 5 months. And we have like very high, standards for pushing in our company because we we go so fast, and so he was like,
had
he
no
said, so he
clue.
put it together in 5 months. It was
You
amazing
had
what
no
they did.
clue how to make this thing.
No, I just said, I don't know how to make it. I just want you to make it. I know what I want. And I think hardware people, they get that. When they see someone like me come, they're like, they have no idea. I'm okay with that.
It's
He
easy,
made
right?
it in the end. So
And
that
of course,
was what
1 million
mattered.
units as a beta run is quite a lot of volume for
Yeah.
L'Oreal.
Yeah.
And L'Oreal is not a hardware company.
No, not at all.
So trying to get their
Well,
education.
they are now.
They are
Now we are, yes.
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 Speaking of that, can you, like, what happens when you go in the airport and you have, like, this thing on your hand?
Oh, it's
no.
just near-field communication, so nothing
there's no-
happens.
that doesn't,
Yeah, no worries.
like-
Actually, you know, it's funny. I knew that scientifically that nothing would happen, but for some reason, when I went through the first time, I was like, oh, I wonder if just, but no, nothing happens. It's just near-field communication.
Okay.
There's no energy stored until you bring something close to it that can
Okay.
illuminate. So yeah. Until you put something like Bluetooth low energy or something else like a sensor, then you would have to turn it on airplane mode or when you're in the
Can you
airplane.
imagine turning on your patch on airplane mode?
That's the
Because
future,
you get so
right?
much
Beep,
UV
beep,
in the
beep.
airplane.
Yeah.
So you said L'Oreal's not a hardware company, but I feel like so much innovation could be done in hardware in beauty. And also, I think, what about like going into Duane Reade or Walgreens and the display and the actual shopping process? Do you have any thoughts on how tech could improve that experience?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that, you know, we're not a hardware company per se, but you know, there's a lot of kind of new devices that are coming in beauty, what we call instrumental beauty. Things like we just acquired a company a number of years ago called Clairsonic, which has, you know, this ability to give your face a cleansing that's like really, really effective.
I mean, how many people have not heard of Clairsonic in this room?
Oh wow, so most people know.
Yeah, no, it's Clairsonic's a huge
Okay,
deal.
Yeah. I thought it was, but I didn't. You have we got a few orders here. I don't have them in my backpack, but you know, you can. No, so I think, you know, there is that kind of instrumental beauty. But what you're saying, I think, is how do we enhance with technology kind of the retail experience?
Yes.
Things like Makeup Genius were the first step, because when I first did Makeup Genius, a lot of the retailers. People came up to me and said, well, what happens to the retailers? And I said, nothing. In fact, it's better because you can scan any product with the application, and right there in the retail, you can see it on your phone. So
Wait,
it helps.
okay, so walk me through the aisle. You're walking to the aisle, you see a lipstick you like.
A L'Oreal Paris lipstick.
Yes, absolutely.
No, I'm just it only works with L'Oreal Paris products. But you take a L'Oreal Paris lipstick.
Okay.
You scan the barcode, and it'll show you in real time your face. You can go to any of the retailers today and try it on your phone, and it will work. We have all of them in there, and it's in 62 countries.
And so it's like your own personal try-on counter, and you
Yeah.
don't have to like wipe it off your face every time. And
Nope, you don't have to wipe off, and we spend a lot of time making sure that what you see is what you get when you buy the product, because we wanted to make sure consumers had, you know, an experience that felt realistic. So I think that's one way. One way is to enhance, you know, the way that you put virtual try-on for the consumer. But you have to be very careful with that. It can't be gimmicky. A lot of, I mean, consumers are very intelligent these days when it comes to what is a one-shot app versus what's an app that's going to be on my phone for a long period of time. And I think part of that goes, as soon as you go in there, if it doesn't work fast, it doesn't work perfectly well, then it's just a fun kind of
annoying,
game. So
yeah.
I think that retailers will have to really, are working on kind of ways to make sure that those technologies are very useful.
And I feel like this year everyone's talking about virtual reality, so I have to ask, what are your thoughts on what virtual reality can do for the beauty industry?
Well, I think that, you know, virtual reality, I think, could be something very interesting, again, when it comes to things like try-on, things that are related to kind of experiencing what beauty would be. For me right now, I feel that more the augmented reality space is where you will see more of the innovation in beauty, because in theory, what beauty is, this beauty industry, the products are really augmented reality in a sense. So, you know, it's taking the canvas of your face and finding ways to make it more beautiful and to make it to whatever the consumer perceives as beautiful. So for me, I'm more interested today in that. Personally, but I think, and as a company, but I think in the future, I mean, we have to see where the technology goes and what types of experiences one could have with makeup and with, you know, I don't know, being in a space and seeing how their face would look if they were, you know, using a wrinkle cream for 6 weeks or something. I mean, there's some, I think, potential around that. But for now, I think there's a lot that can be done in the augmented reality space first.
And For either of you, what opportunities do you see in beauty, that some problems that need to be solved, or something that someone hasn't achieved yet but that you'd like to achieve?
Well, I mean, there's a mashup between medical devices, medical needs, augmented reality, and products.
Huh.
So how do you educate that platform into one scenario? So the supercomputer that's in your pocket is the bridge to a lot of that availability. So I think the programs we're working together on right now are the beginnings of certain deliverables with regards to health and beauty and wellness. And you know, the conversation prior to this panel was around wearables and technology and what does that fit. I mean, so Fitbit was here, and they're talking about, they don't talk about them being a wearable company. They're a goal-setting company. So how do you manage your sleep? How do you manage your hydration? How do you manage your daily routine? And these are areas that L'Oreal is very heavily involved with regards to beauty and wellness. So again, I think we're helping, and we're engaged on several programs right now that bring those attributes towards a holistic package. And I think, you know, L'Oreal has the platform, because they're a global brand with their 30, 40 associate brands, to actually make an impact. And you know, they own, you know, loyalty. So as a woman, as a man getting into beauty products, there's a loyalty association. So if you can keep the uptake in regards to technology coming into your pocket, and that information is stored and then fed back to you, and these are all areas that a lot of people are paying a lot of attention to. But again, with Guive's team and our kind of talents that we have in-house, we can bring that conversation much closer. And making products is hard, but it's getting easier, but it's still hard.
And what about you? Do you see any opportunities?
I think I would go back to what I said before. I really believe in this area of customization. I think that the more supply chains get innovated, what you see what Amazon is doing with Prime shipment, and you know, I just believe that it will be a link between the augmented reality world, hardware, and getting the consumer products that are perfect for them as quickly as possible. So, you know, we've kind of started with that already. We've started working in personalization for foundation. We just launched this little robot in, I call it a robot, but it's really a kind of a little machine that makes you the perfect foundation out of 20,000 shades.
That is so interesting.
And it's in Nordstrom and Del Almo and Seattle, if any of you guys live in those areas.
So it mixes like the perfect colors. It also do the formulation, like the texture you want.
Yeah. So you can do different.
It becomes one of one.
Yeah, one of
So
one.
you're an individual, and L'Oreal has the power to manage that data, that information, and protect it.
Exactly.
Because protection is a huge back-end infrastructure, and people are going to be talking about data protection quite heavily, and especially in Europe. Europe is very stringent around data protection. So, but to build on Guy's point, you're an individual. You're a human of one as an individual. So if you can map skin tone, skin needs, hydration, and we're working on, you know, geosensing. So you know where you are in the world. That data can be sent to you with the devices in your pocket, be it Android or an Apple device, iOS. But the smartphone in your pocket is always connected to something. So that streaming information comes to you when you need it, and if you switch that need on. So my UV patch is one beginning of UV protection. And La Roche-Posay is not a technology company, but now we've opened up a whole avenue of conversation on a global platform. Hey, you know, skin cancer is on the up. We're here to help.
So I'm hearing blending health and beauty. So it's like, oh, I'm dehydrated, oh, I'm tired. So then some sort of technology could recommend, oh, you need more moisturizer, or,
Yeah.
I mean, is that what I'm
I
hearing?
think today that's what you will see more and more, is kind of the link between diagnostics and the actual kind of product that they have on the shelf. Tomorrow what you'll see is the diagnostic and then the perfect product made based on that diagnostic. And that's kind of the point I was making about personalization, right? Which is like, you know, your skin tone is one out, as he said, you have, you know, a very unique skin tone, right? So what you're going to do, you take a photo of it, and if you can have the perfect product made for you, the foundation that's made for your skin, this skin tone, then you would have the foundation you need forever. And if you could kind of make different, as you were asking, textures and You can have different coverage. You can have, all kinds of things, and it can be done right there at the counter.
Could you see someone at home having a machine that just sort of like Nunu on Teletubbies, it just spits out your makeup or your skincare every day, and you just kind of tell it what you want?
I mean, I think we have to wait and see for that, because there have been a lot of things in the press recently about 2D printers and 3D printers, and what will that mean for makeup, for example. I think that the first step is really creating a supply chain that does that, because right now you can get products so quickly, both at the retail environment and online, that you don't necessarily have to be the chemist at home. Then there are some, I think, hyper consumers that are like these kind of addicted to beauty, addicted to kind of having their own little area, that will have solutions in the future that will allow them to kind of print their own makeup and print their own color that they want. But I think the core need is to get everyone a product that they want without having to choose something that's already on the shelf.
It's interesting you use the word print your own makeup as opposed to like an ice cream machine or something like it coming out. Is that called printing your makeup if it would come out like that? Or
well, I just use the,
okay.
well, you could say blending makeup, or
okay,
you could say, but printing, you could take, I don't know, like you see a lot of people trying to use 2D printing to kind of do different things in the food industry, and now 3D printing. So
like
I wouldn't say
eyeshadow comes out printed on a little sheet, and then you could put it on.
Why not?
Yeah, absolutely. So is that what your next product is, or what do you?
Well, I don't know what you're trying to get out of me right now. I'm just like, I see the video camera. No, I'm kidding. No, we're working a lot. I mean, we've dipped into a lot of spaces around 2D printing, blending, all these kinds of things. I think before the technology itself, we just want to understand the consumer need. So like foundation, the one that we have at Nordstrom, foundation is really a core need today. Like if you ask any woman in this room, probably half of them will tell you that it's very hard to find a foundation. And so if we could provide that as a service based on personalization, then it becomes something that is really an added value. So I think we start with the consumer need, and then the technology will fill around. If it's 2D printing, 3D printing, if it's it can be anything that can meet the need.
So yeah, go ahead.
Everything you touched on there are opportunities, and opportunities that we haven't shied away from. But at the end of the day, it comes down to a cost, and there's only a certain threshold you can go
for
to
the consumer, or for you to
consumer.
produce it. Okay.
Both, to be honest, quite honest with you, as we well know.
Yes. Money's important to us too.
Yeah,
yes,
You're
you're
giving
right.
those away for free.
But again, we are, all those services are there, but there's a threshold that the consumer will go to outside of just going to a store, a bricks and mortar location.
So this stuff is all possible technologically speaking. It's more like, can we afford to produce it? Is it worth it to produce it?
We are it's far more affordable today than it was 5 years ago. And 5 years from now will be even more affordable. So, and I think, generationally, devices in your hand and in your home are going to be dominating a lot of these decision-making needs. And I think, again, going back to mass customization, the data that we're going to be collecting by individuals will be an indicator of them wanting better services, better brand recognition. And again, going back to the cost, though, there's only so far you can go. And you can do, with L'Oreal, with Lancome, there's a top shelf brand, but the consumer on the street, a 16-year-old girl, who will want the same experience. So we're in the user experience.
Face creams go for $100 these days.
At
I mean,
least, yeah.
So
So I'm saying there's a threshold. So will you have a machine in your bathroom? I strongly believe you will. But today is a little expensive.
I see.
That's a good point.
Is most of the beauty focus on skin and makeup on your face, or what about like nail polish?
Sure, of course.
Hardware.
Yeah. Why are you saying it with a smile on your face?
Because
is there a product idea you have?
Yes.
Oh God, I can't
I
hear
wanna
it.
go on
I
the
have too
record
many
with
product
this.
ideas. No, I'm
Okay.
kidding. I'm kidding. Tell me your idea. What's your idea?
Oh well. Really? Okay.
Yes.
I
mean,
feel
you
like
were touching on it, so
okay.
go there.
Well, tell me what you're. Okay, this is going to be my pitch session. So,
Okay.
I feel like I've seen some hardware devices that do this, and I'm
Yeah.
certain it's on your radar.
Yeah.
I see a product where, like, how you have that app that scans your face and knows where everything is on your face.
Yes.
What about one that scans your hand and it automatically detects where your nail is? Like, you don't have to put a product on, like, not lotion or anything, because it detects where your nail is, because it can scan where your nail is, and you just put it in, and it spits out, and it just does your mani for you.
Yeah. Okay. So that's a great idea, and no,
Who
no,
thinks
it's
that's a
great.
good idea? Who
no,
would use
I
that?
like that idea. Raise your hand
Okay.
if you like that idea.
Okay.
That's good. The only ones not raising their hand are men, but
Yeah.
I mean, maybe a few are. I don't know. But I would say that. Okay. So there are a couple of things I would say. So we have dipped into this area. The first, and I could talk about publicly because we launched it, was a nail printer. So we had this kind of 2D nail printer. So a lot of people do nail art today, and nail art can. I don't know if you know, the men here know this, but it takes hours to do that sometimes, and over $200 to $300 for a person to actually paint a kind of graphic on your nail. So we were using 2D printing technology with a brand of ours called Essie to allow you to put your hand into a kind of a machine, pick any design that you want, even on your smartphone, and it prints it right there directly on your nail. When it comes to the mani part that you were talking about, there's actually a kind of an area we have to think about, especially as a company, L'Oreal, where we're very, very safe in our products around the chemistry of the formulas. So, you know, when you do your mani today, there are a lot of formulas that have, you know, certain properties that aren't easy to put into like a machine to do, and we have to make sure that they're safe and that they're done the right way, especially as, you know, the leading beauty company in the world. So I agree with you that this is a way to do that. It's a solution that should be made, and that we are definitely looking into technologies that allow you to do exactly what you said. I'm really excited about the nail art part too, because I think that allows you to kind of just really quick design anything that you want and put it on your nail. So it's a great idea. You can work for L'Oreal anytime you want.
Let's have a meeting, because there's so many more where that came from.
Let's do a powwow after. Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is there anything
Off
you can
camera.
share with us that you're working on that you can share?
We didn't share enough. I mean, what else do you want?
Or
That's for you,
I
Andre,
can't-
Okay.
outside of the L'Oreal. No.
so no, that's a no.
I mean, we're working today around custom. As I said, you know, we partner with Lancome, and we use our brand Lancome internally to do customized foundation. We're thinking about customization in other areas, and we're working on with PCH with devices around diagnostics and new Internet of Things. And so,
Yes.
I mean, it took us 5 months to do this. So in 5 months from now, you'll probably see something new. So
And we
don't
haven't even
worry.
talked about hair yet.
Oh,
Oh yeah, there's a.
Oh,
that's
you know
a
what
whole
I
new
want?
beast.
Okay, my next pitch, and then I'll open
Okay,
up for
one
questions.
more.
So if
All
you
right.
guys have any questions, think about them and start standing up at the microphone, and we'll do questions. But my next pitch is, like, you know, and I know these exist, but I want a better way. So, you know, like grandmothers, they have that machine where they like puts a shower cap on their head, and it blows a hairdryer in it, and it like dries your hair.
Yeah.
Like, what is that called?
I don't know what that's called.
You know what I'm talking
I think
about.
it's a
Yeah.
drying machine. I don't think it
Yeah,
has a
like you
specific
put your hair in
name,
rollers
right?
and then it dries
yeah,
your
yeah,
hair.
of course,
It's like,
of course. The big dome. The big
Yes.
dome. I don't know the
Can
actual
L'Oreal
name of it.
please create something that you attach it into your hair dryer and you attach it like a shower cap on your head, and then it just like atmospherically is like a diffuser and it dries your hair that way? Please.
Wow, you have lots of ambition. Okay.
That would be no.
I'm just saying.
I have done a plastic bag wrapped.
that may
I'm not
be
joking.
a Megan Andre
I have tied a
collaboration,
plastic
and then we'll
bag
just
around
put
my
L'Oreal on it.
forehead and cut a hole and put my hair dryer in it before.
Why not?
I'm
It's
not
a good
joking.
idea.
we'll do it
comes from-
together. We'll get the licensing
Yes.
approval from L'Oreal.
Okay,
and
this
we'll
would
make
be
Five
a
months.
dream.
It's, you have
This would
5
be a
months.
dream.
Andre.
cut the middleman out.
I can't believe we just said this in front of everyone. Now there'd be like 10
I
of
know.
these
I
on the
feel like
market
they're going
next
to
year.
steal all your ideas. Like, can we patent these while we're talking? or
Yeah,
no?
right.
Okay,
But I
we
want to
have.
build on one thing before.
Oh, yes.
L'Oreal has, you know, thousands of chemists and PhD people on staff. So my point is that, you know, they have the resources to test, and testing and putting things on the skin is a very dangerous area. So as a micro startup, you can't just do that. So when the FDA comes in and regulatory and design control, all these are very complex due diligences, and especially when you get into geographic locations. So you can do one thing in Europe, but you can't do it in Japan or Asia. And these are areas that we're helping.
Yeah,
Most of the point, L'Oreal is educating us things we can do, and then we bring a solution towards, okay, we can do this, that, and the other as far as the global supply chain goes. But again, doing something new doesn't just happen in 5 months. You can have a great idea, you can do a prototype, but it will take a good year to get something out. And testing is a huge part of this.
Yeah. it's a huge
Especially when you do a skin, I feel like it's one of the
sustainability
most
is a massive-
regulated.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. We did a
Industries.
lot of clinical studies and a lot of to test so it's very, you have to. It's a marriage of two really important kind of aspects to make a product. Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah.
Well, thank you guys, and we have
Thank
some
you.
questions.
Hi, thank you. This is great. I actually have two questions. One is about the patch. I'm an esthetician, so of course protecting the skin from UV is important to me and my clients. So my first question is I'm unclear on what the problem that the patch is solving. Is it solving, is it people who want to prevent wrinkles and it then promotes them to wear sunscreen more and they can measure and go, oh wow, great, I started wearing sunscreen and now my level has come down. So that's the first question. If you could I'm just unclear, you mentioned something about skin cancer, so is this for, skin cancer patients, all the above? So that's my first question. My second question is, as an esthetician, part of my job is to help clients determine which products are right for them from a skincare standpoint. And a big question people always say is, what should I be using? Because a lot of the lines are catered towards dry, normal, oily, right? Or maybe anti-aging or, maybe, acne or whatever, but it's still kind of very cookie cutter. And so where I still see kind of a lot of brands still hanging out is in this one size fits all and this all skin type philosophy. So my question is could the area just be that brands add more skin types to their line or just add more products, and then someone who has rosacea, brown spots, wrinkles, and adult breakouts could find something right for them? Or is it more about developing a piece of technology that somehow says, okay, the products that say they're for all skin types, if you use this piece of technology, you can determine which of those limited types of products are best for you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes total sense.
Okay, so those are my two questions. Thank you.
Okay, yes, two very deep questions. Okay, let's see. The first one, so let me tell you about the first one. So the first one, it's not just about cancer awareness. Let me start with that as one aspect. If you look at New England Journal of Medicine, they talk a lot about how people with darker skin tones, specifically African American communities, happen to get melanoma a lot more than those of lighter skin because they think they're protected from the sun, because they don't burn. And I think one aspect of that is kind of the education of the effects of UVA on the skin and getting people to understand the level of exposure they have. And there is really a noble aspect to this, which is why we give this for free. I mean, in the end, of course, we want to sell more product. It's a business. But if you educate people, they'll understand how to use the product better, and it will enhance their let's say, protection against UV exposure. But then there's a second aspect, which is if I use my SPF the right way, if I use my SPF during the times that I have the most UV exposure, I'm going to look younger. I mean, because I won't get as many dark spots, because I'll have protection on my skin against, things like dehydration, which happen as a function of long UVA exposure, and the consumers don't really know that today. So, if the clouds are outside, I think there's no UV exposure. So if this patch tells me, wait, look, you actually do have some UV, it may actually change my behavior. So I think that's really the aspect. And the beauty part it comes with that. So knowing how much exposure I have, using the products the right way, I become then more beautiful and also more protected against the harmful effects of UV. So does that answer your question? Okay. The second one you asked around diagnostics, that's more of a deeper question. I can tell you like this. I think that there are two fundamental issues today around getting the right product for consumers. The first is knowing what the answer to your first question was. What is my skin type? I mean, lots of consumers think they know their skin is oily, dry, or not dry. Do I have rosacea? Are there dark spots underneath my skin that are coming to the surface? And those kinds of things require good diagnostic technologies, which are, fast and easy to use and not scary. Because a lot of the diagnostics you see, and you said you're a statistician, so you've probably seen those Visia dark, and people see all these spots on their face, and I'm like, they don't. So we're working on, in my team, some kind of smaller versions that are quicker, more based on mobile platforms, and it can quickly tell you where you stand. The fact of the matter is today, I'm not sure you need 100 different products for your skincare to figure out, okay, I'm from 1 to 100. I think what you need is to know what routine I need. I have, 3 or 4 major concerns in my skin, and I need to have the right routine. And consumers need to trust that. They need something that they believe, that they know the diagnostic works, and that they can then get the right 3 or 4 products in their regimen that meet the needs that you said. And there's so many products today on the skincare market. What's important is understand which one I should put with which one. And I think if you can marry diagnostics with that, you can have the perfect kind of relationship. And then again, as I said, personalization is the future. So there's also other aspects in the future that we can think about when it comes to how to make the perfect formula for each person. It's okay? Okay.
Touching on personalization, you have beauty chat, you have email, you have phone support. I'd like to know if your team is evaluating video chat. You're talking about personalization, customization, bringing we'll say a video chat beauty advisor directly to anybody, that's using the L'Oreal app
Yeah.
on their mobile phone while they're on the go.
Yeah.
If they're not in a popular city and there's not anywhere that they can physically go, let's say they get a product, they don't know how to use it. Has your team been evaluating that?
So I can't say too much in this,
Okay,
which means
okay.
you probably know the answer. But you hit on a real good point there, which is, and I'll use the example of Makeup Genius, right? What does Makeup Genius do? So if you have, he kind of, Andre hit on that point when he was talking about Lancome versus a mass brand. So if I go to Lancome, if I'm a woman, I go to Lancome, I get a makeup artist, I have 40 minutes with the makeup artist, they put this beautiful makeup on my face and I buy the product. If I'm someone that goes to Walgreens to buy a L'Oreal Paris product, I don't have that time, nor do I have that resource. So bringing a virtual augmented reality app helps me fit that need. On top of that, there are obviously some needs for consumers, which is the human touch. I mean, it's not only about how does it look on my face, but how do I apply it, for example, or when do I apply it, or how do I make a smoky eye, or things like that, and you don't always have the time to do that. So today that gap is filled with YouTube videos, amazing people like Michelle Phan and things that you see and they get millions of hits. So you can only imagine what that would do. So you have a very good idea. So I think obviously there's some challenges to make that happen, right? I mean, it's a great idea, but you have to do it the right way. So, but yes, we are very interested in all of these areas.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, my question is about the future role of beauty brands. So you said that there's all this technology around mass customization, and obviously you've got things like the Mink Color Cosmetics printer and stuff like that coming to market in the future. So do you think technology will kind of like disintermediate brands in the kind of beauty conversation, or do you think it'll kind of change the role in some way? Will they kind of go from more kind of product to service? I'd just love to get your perspective on that.
I really believe that we're today even already moving from product to services. I mean, that's just natural. And I think that it's just going to change the relationship that consumers have with the product, and that's going to kind of change or evolutionize the way brands interact with their consumers. And on top of that, I think it means something for large cosmetic companies like L'Oreal about creating more platforms and services that are multi-brand, and that's an advantage of having a large company, that you're able to kind of do that. But I still think that there's a place also with this kind of brand to consumer relationship that's very personal as well. So I think you'll have both. I think you'll have services that I think will enhance beauty, and I think you'll also have some fundamental kind of relationships between one brand and a consumer need. So yeah, I think we definitely are you're gonna see that. I mean, that's just natural with the digital world, and I totally believe that will happen. Yeah.
Thank you.
I think people are used to Amazon Prime on demand, and products being shipped to your doorstep within an hour or within a day or two, and that's going to be the natural next bridge.
Yeah.
Is like you will have an experience on AI with an associated brand, and subsequently you need that product like ASAP.
Yeah.
And we can deliver that program very quickly these days. So if you can do a diagnostic evaluation, then have a blended solution, have that customized solution be made for you on demand within an hour, and then shipped to you within a few hours if you want to pay for that, or for a couple of days, that ecosystem exists. And we already plug into that ecosystem as a company of PCH. So again, these are conversations that we are heavily involved with, like mass customizations. Like 15 years ago, you'd go Nike ID and buy order a pair of shoes, and it would take 2 weeks to arrive.
Yeah.
That user experience sucked, because by the time we got to, you'd forgotten what you'd actually placed the order on. I mean, okay, it's still an awesome out-of-box experience, but the need to deliver as soon as possible is very current. You have to get that, and I think big brands like L'Oreal paying a lot of attention, and some of the other big brands we're working with are very sensitized to that on-demand need for customization. So
Pretty interesting. Thank you.
thank you.
Well, thank you guys. This is really interesting.
you.
Thank
for
you.
your time.
Boom.
tail slating.